Hi everyone, Dr. C here, pursuing the fulfillment of the dissertation, which completes the process pretty much. After that, of course, there's the final interview where we will meet face-to-face on Skype and go through your dissertation in detail. So you've gone through all 10 modules and now you're working on the dissertation, and we're going to move on now to essay number 4. Define optimum health. What is it? Is it possible to achieve optimum health in the 21st century, which essentially is right now? What does optimum health mean to you, and why does it matter? Why does health matter? How can you help someone with a health challenge improve if they have no interest or desire to change? Okay, so this is where it's all about you and your definition. What do you think optimum health is? Let's start with health as the root word, as a state of being. Is your health good or bad? To optimize anything means to improve it, means to elevate it, means to raise the profile of whatever it is you're talking about, okay? In this case, our health. You say, how healthy are you to somebody? Okay, well, what does that mean? It means, how's your state? Is it good or bad? Is it optimum? Is it ideal? Is it anything less or more than that? Now, the world has a dim view of health. I think that's part of the problem, why so many people are ill. They truly do not understand what health is. So I like the idea of creating a vision of optimum health as an objective or a goal to work towards, to maintain and sustain. You know, essentially, if you're lucky, if you're fortunate, you're born with 5 fingers and toes and everything works inside of you. There's no genetic defects. There's nothing that the doctors and health experts can identify as being an aberration and going to set you up for pain and suffering for the rest of your life. Okay, so what happens from that point has a lot to do with how we live, what we eat, how we think, where we live, the quality of the air, food, and water. And the environment, of course, plays a huge role in the outcome of our health. So health is more than the absence of disease. Remember that a lot of chronic diseases are cumulative. They're hiding inside of you with no apparent symptoms until one day your world crashes in because you are diagnosed with cancer, or your foot hurts to the point where you can't move it. Something weird and strange you can't explain, or maybe you get struck down by lightning with some type of virus or flu bug or strange, weird microorganism from another planet, okay? And so now you're no longer feeling good. You're no longer healthy. So that's not what health is. Health is the absence of disease. That's part of the formula. But the other half, which is as important, is that health is the presence of function. Going back to the little baby, we first determine if it's well and healthy, if it's functional, if everything works, anatomically speaking. We check the eyes, we check the blood, we check the arms and the limbs and the function. We look for pain, okay? So health is the absence of dis-ease, of pain, discomfort, and the presence of function. Can you walk? Can you run? That's the natural state of a human. We're designed by nature to run. We're persistence hunters. We're hunting, gathering creatures, and unfortunately, we still have brains very much the same as our predecessors, and that's why it's so difficult for many of us to explain the complexity of the world. We're still thinking in terms of hunting, gathering creatures. Well, it's time to elevate ourselves through science using the scientific method and really come to terms with health is. Now, health is also a continuum between 2 poles, the least and the most, the worst and the best. It's a continuum between life and death. So whereabouts are you on the continuum, not in terms of age, but in terms of the fullness and the richness of your life experience? Can you think clearly? Are you emotionally stable? Are you intellectually advanced? Do you understand math, physics, biology, chemistry? Not to the degree of having a PhD, but just basic theorem, basic philosophy, basic concepts to help you understand and explain the nature of the existence that you exist in. Because if you can't do that, generally, you might experience a lot of anxiety about your existence, about the world that you live in. But once you come to terms with what it is and reality itself and nature, specifically by studying nature, you get clear about your own existence. And then it becomes very clear that pursuit of health, the maintenance of health, the sustaining of your being is the means to the end of victory, the means to the objective that you want to determine. Okay, because you need a healthy body and a healthy mind to do anything in this world, pretty much. Even if you're in a wheelchair and you're limited by some terrible disability, you still need a relatively healthy mind, a functional mind that works. So health is the ability to achieve what you want and need with energy and enthusiasm. It's a complete state, a wonderful state, a beautiful state, but it is not a perfect state. There's no such thing as perfection in this universe because of entropy, oxidation, radiation, because everything that is in order is moving to a state of disorder. Essentially, that's what happens when we disappear. We move from a state of mass to a state of pure energy, and that energy, whatever it is and wherever it goes, is completely unknown. So prior to the time, the terminal point, we want to ideally compress morbidity, saturate ourselves with a diet rich in micronutrients. We want to move. We want to get engaged in sport. We want to invite activity into our lives so that we can maintain our limbs, our function, our body. It is such a wonderful thing to move through life without experiencing some of these terrible degenerative conditions that are so rampant in our society, namely diabetes, depression, heart disease, cancer, and all kinds of disability associated with so-called aging, which really has nothing to do with aging per se and everything to do with damage. So to be well, to stay well, to be healthy, to glean, to ooze health, you need to really focus on what it takes to be well. And that's what excites me in my own life. That's what gets me going. That's what makes me want to do the work, because I love the feeling of being healthy. Now, the second part of this question is, how can you help someone with a health challenge improve if they have no interest or desire to change? Well, you can try, but you'll most likely fail, because without desire, there will be no change. There will be no improvement. Somebody on the other side, the person you're trying to help, has to have some desire, has to initiate the drive to do the work. If they don't, how can they be well if they're not well at this moment? First of all, they have to realize where they're at, the mistakes they've made, and they have to understand what health is. So it's up to us as CSNA students, as advisors, to tell them, to give them a clear definition of what health is. And you can do that by moving them through a gym workout, showing them how little shape they have or how wonderful in shape they are. You have to have comparative data. We have to look at their diet and do a dietary analysis and say, you're just not going to achieve the best that you can be with this kind of diet. Why? Here's the data. Here's the science. Here's what the evidence would suggest. And yes, there are a lot of variables. There are a lot of factors that are unexplained. Welcome to the human condition. So have some fun with this. And also regarding individuals, you can make an impact by being committed yourself. This is how I do it. This is the best way to make a positive impact to people around you that have any interest in achieving health at all and making a difference in their own lives by doing the work that it takes to get well and moving away from where they are if they're not in that state of wellness. They need to see in you. They need to see that it's possible. They need to see your discipline, your commitment, your drive. They need to see that in another human being, that it's possible to be well in your 50s, in your 60s, in your 70s, and in your 80s. We want to compress morbidity. We want to stretch out our health span. We want to really maximize the abundance of all possibility when it comes to human function and form. And this can only be done in this day and age with the methods described in the course material. Exercise, optimum diet, and dietary supplements. Join them all together, connect the dots, and that ultimately is what leads to this superb wellness, this excellence of performance, mentally, emotionally, and physically. Think about this one in terms of philosophy, where you're at, where you want to go, and what you think you need to do, not only to excite someone to get focused on their own health, but for you to stay excited, to be filled with enthusiasm, so that you can continue working on your own health until the day that you convert into pure energy. This is Dr. C on Chi TV. There is no life without Chi.